Not using a digital marketing strategy. Here's why you're missing out. If you have an online business, and you reach out to customers online, then that means you have a digital marketing strategy. Right. Well, not exactly. While any efforts you put in to get the word out about your products or services through internet-based platforms is online marketing. The simple use of these resources doesn't mean you have a strategy. Strategy involves planning, analysis, and even metrics. So, simply throwing out a few tweets doesn't necessarily meet the criteria. And, if you are marketing online without a suitable strategy, you may be missing out on opportunities to grow your business. Before you add another post or promote another link, here is why it is better to put those tasks aside in favor of creating an actual digital marketing strategy. While the general goal of most businesses is to increase sales, often this idea is too broad when it comes to implementation. It doesn't give you the opportunity to focus your efforts and could lead you to dedicate your time in the wrong direction. By taking a moment to identify your goals, you can create a plan that makes those specific goals more achievable. For example, signing up to have your ad randomly displayed on other websites does increase your visibility. But, if those ads aren't reaching the right people, the effort, and possibly money invested in ad placement, is wasted. For example, if your business revolves around selling women's clothing, you might not see a lot of benefits if your ads end up on sites dominated by male viewers, like certain technology or sports-oriented sites. While female viewers may also stop by these websites, the likelihood of the ad being presented to a male is higher. Instead of casting blindly into the world, it makes more sense to choose an ad service that reaches your target market. If your company has more than just you involved in the decision-making process, creating a strategy ensures everyone is on the same page. Otherwise, you are dealing with a group of individuals who may all be working based on unique priorities. If everyone isn't working together, then you aren't getting the most out of your efforts. Digital marketing strategies create a singular vision regarding company growth. This can help ensure funds are managed properly based on a primary goal. And it allows online activity to be driven by known priorities instead of by personal whims. Additionally, you lower the chance of duplicated efforts. For example, if you think a social media marketing campaign can help meet your goal, and a coworker has the same idea, then you both may be spending time and energy working on the exact same thing. Worse, you may be using the same platforms for two different purposes, creating mixed messages or conflicting brand images. If you have a strategy, you can organize and schedule your efforts. Social media posts or ad campaigns can be released in a supportive manner, allowing each effort to build upon the last. Since you are able to create a full picture of the progress of a digital marketing campaign, you can make sure everything is set up to create optimal results. Sometimes, we don't realize what we don't know until we sit down and look at our strategy as a whole. Unguided digital marketing often results in people defaulting to the mechanisms with which they are the most comfortable, and not necessarily those that could produce the best returns on your investment. If you are working on a strategy and realize you aren't reaching out in all of the ways you could, then you can create a plan for managing those shortcomings. For example, you might decide that working with a digital marketing agency is a smart investment. Or you may choose to bring in a consultant to assist. Often, it is hard to recognize the holes in your approach until you list everything you know and relate those points to your goals. And, by taking the time to do so, you can ensure your digital marketing strategy reaches your ideal market to improve brand awareness and increase sales. In the end, you'll develop a strong platform from which to work. And that makes any time spent developing your strategy a worthy investment. Dr. Gleb Tsipursky, cognitive neuroscientist and behavioral economist, CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, multiple best-selling author. Read full profile. Have you been wondering how many past scenarios in your life could have turned out differently if you only knew the right way to react to them? Do you find yourself vowing to respond in a better way to similar situations if given a chance? You are not alone. Not everyone is born with top-notch social intelligence. Many people allowed opportunities to pass them by just because they were not attuned to the nuances of their social interactions. In truth, they could have avoided a lot of personal and professional disasters if the conflicts had been analyzed and dealt with correctly. However, to anticipate and handle critical social interactions with grace, You have to build up and tap into your social intelligence. In this complex world that we live in, you'll be glad to have social intelligence backing you up as you navigate increasingly tumultuous waters. To start with, most people associate intelligence with just the general type as it relates to analysis and reasoning. That's all well and good. But there are also other forms of intelligence, which factor significantly in human interactions. For one, there's emotional intelligence, which refers to skills in understanding and managing your emotions. Emotionally intelligent folks can identify and evaluate these emotions and ultimately control them. If you were able to confirm that a misunderstanding or miscommunication occurred, take implicit or explicit blame for it. Apologize for what happened, regardless of whether it's your fault or not. Instead of being misleading, you are using a diplomatic way of bringing up the issue so that the other person can still save face. The latter will be grateful to you for doing so, especially if they are the ones who misunderstood or misread the situation. Then, be explicit in explaining what you'd like to see and draw clear boundaries that you don't want to see crossed. If there aren't misunderstandings, and there is a conflict between your desires and the other person's, you may have the meta conversation first. Take a step back with the person you are in conflict with and talk about the discussion that you are about to have. Instead of simply diving into the battle, convey something like, "Hey, it looks like we disagree here," and figure out the nature of the disagreement. If you realize that you are at fault, take responsibility and apologize to the other person. After that, discuss what you will do to prevent this kind of problem in the future. In case someone else is at fault, though, don't expect them to apologize or take responsibility, no matter how nice that would be. Many people are emotionally afraid of losing face and social status and will refuse to apologize or be responsible for their actions. Regardless, don't let this get in the way of resolving the problem. Steer the conversation into what can be done to resolve the situation now and what can be done to prevent the same thing from occurring later. If the disagreement is about what should be done about an issue, explore the reasons behind the conflict and be emotionally sensitive when doing so. Minimize blaming the other person and take blame quickly yourself when it's appropriate. Differentiate what is definitively known versus what is assumed and then gather a reasonable amount of evidence to test assumptions. Finally, look for ways to resolve the disagreement in a win-win manner. Being a human being can be hard. And we all want positive, productive, and genuine relationships. When you use these social intelligence skills correctly, you will be able to get the best out of each interaction. And those you interact with will also place more confidence in you due to your consistent and transparent display. No one becomes a loser then even after the toughest of conflicts. There's no doubt that social intelligence plays a crucial role in forming and fortifying human interactions. Learning and harnessing social intelligence skills will not only keep you highly relevant but also turn you into a trusted influencer in your personal and professional circles. Disaster avoidance experts, never go with your gut, how pioneering leaders make the best decisions and avoid business disasters. Know more about them in this guide. What is emotional intelligence, and how to develop it? As mentioned above, social intelligence exists. 2. It is especially crucial during this pandemic when our routines and relationships have been rattled, if not upended. The uncertainty in the air calls for more careful handling of social interactions, specifically when dealing with new life scenarios, physical distance from our colleagues, and social changes in our close personal relationships. Most people tend to simplify being socially intelligent into merely being friendly or approachable. But the truth is, learning to develop and harness your social intelligence can spell the difference between seeming approachable and having the capacity to build secure connections, diffuse conflicts, and communicate long-term solutions. Social intelligence is the capacity to evaluate and influence other people's emotions and relationships by knowing oneself and others. It develops through time and experience with people concerning success and failure in social settings. Even more significantly, some social intelligence-based skills and methods will allow you to break the ice and strengthen trust in valuable relationships. Check out what socially intelligent people would never do. Socially intelligent individuals tend to have an extensive, efficient network of social connections that they can rely on personally and professionally. This is because social intelligence comes with a set of powerful skills that you can use to build, maintain, and improve relationships. The following skills can help you identify key people, understand and pay attention to them, and smoothly resolve any conflict that comes up during different scenarios. As you go through life, you will meet and regularly interact with people who have a significant impact on your journey. They are your life influencers. Life influencer has a significant impact on your personal or professional growth. Your long-term success hinges heavily on a continued relationship with this individual. The influencer cannot easily be replaced. Your time-tested relationship with this person has already yielded continuous positive effects on your life. You can identify who this influencer is by assessing the impact of past advice or interactions. The relationship is mutual, you can identify what you need from the influencer and vice versa. Your goals and desired results are aligned with this person. Go beyond the surface level and try to understand the people you interact with. Whether you've just met them or they are one of your life influencers. In other words, when they are communicating with you, you need to listen to what they mean and not just what they are saying. Your goal is empathy, the skill of understanding what other people feel. Focus not only on their message's content but also on their tone and body language. By doing so, you will be able to figure out the meaning behind their words and what explains their feelings. One of the best ways to demonstrate empathy while engaging with others is by showing them that you are paying full attention to them via. Another way to show your undivided attention is by echoing and mirroring, which uses one or a combination of the following methods. Rephrasing the essence of what your life influencer is saying with your own words every 1 to 3 minutes, if you do it right. The person you are talking to will be grateful for your attention. If you don't, they will be thankful that you checked and will correct it. Using their jargon, notice specific words that the other person is using relevant to the issue and integrate them into your echoing. Mirroring their tone and posture in broad terms, for example. If someone is speaking formally, do the same thing. If they're leaning towards you, do so as well. Just pay attention to their body language and tone and try to match it. But don't try to mirror everything quickly. When done correctly, it will help people feel connected to you and trust you. You can also convey how you understand the person you are interacting with by building rapport. You need to help them feel that you are on their side and that you are a part of their tribe. Without explicitly stating it, signal that you grasp their emotions, goals, incentives, values, and obstacles by doing any of the following. Use humor to help bring down defenses while avoiding making fun of them or what they value or using sarcasm as it's too often misunderstood. Instead, you can lightly make fun of yourself since you're the safest target. Remember that the most impactful humor feels spontaneous. However, you can build it in, and people will still appreciate it. Injecting some genuine curiosity in your conversations will go a long way in expressing your sincere interest in your influencer's needs and concerns. It will help facilitate effective knowledge sharing and further refine your understanding. To do it correctly, try to envision what someone wants you to ask them. Express curiosity in your questions without coming off as probing or provocative. Keep in mind that many people may not want to reveal their emotions directly. So a practical approach is to throw an indirect question at them. For example, you can say, "If I were in this situation, I would feel blank. How about you?" You can also share a story about someone who felt an emotion that you think the other person is feeling in a similar situation and see how they respond. Manage your feelings and then try to resolve the conflict through social intelligence. As a proactive measure, try to scan your relationships for signs of conflict. Don't give in to the temptation of ignoring potential disputes in hopes of seeing them disappear because that's when minor molehills turn into major mountains. Remember that a great deal of conflict comes from misunderstanding other people's emotions and focusing solely on the content of their message. When you start noticing growing tensions, check for misconceptions around both. Be diplomatic when checking for misunderstandings and treat the situation as a miscommunication on your part. Business Insider, How to Disagree with Someone Successfully and Still Effectively Communicate. New Harbinger, The Blind Spots Between Us, How to Overcome Unconscious Cognitive Bias and Build Better Relationships. Cognitive neuroscientist and behavioral economist, CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, multiple best-selling author. Text source, lifehack.org.